Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Boston Balling. I'm your host, Gabby Hurlbut. Hope you're all off to a great start to the week. We are slowly getting towards spring. The cold weather certainly is here. It was holding out for a while, but now it appears like it's really winter weather now. And I know it's supposed to snow, I think, the next couple days over here in Connecticut. So not really looking forward to that, but hope everyone's doing well. I'm excited to bring you another episode of the show. I have a really special guest with me today. Really looking forward to chatting him about his experience. He's a sports anchor with Channel 5 WCBV in Boston. Definitely super knowledgeable about sports and the industry. Mike Lynch, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great, Gabby. I'm so thrilled to be on here with you, and I can't wait to get started. Let's go.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining me. I'm really excited to have you and to chat with you a little bit. So obviously, I am a Boston sports podcast. I love Boston everything. So kind of just before we get into all of that, can you just talk a little bit about your path, how you ended up where you are in the industry, and kind of your story to get there?
Well, it's not the normal path to get where I am. But I went to Harvard. I was always a sports junkie. I played football and baseball there after playing three sports in high school at Swampscott High School. And I always loved it. And I always thought it was something that I could do. And, when you got to get your break. So my first job was for $10 a game to keep being the statistician on Harvard football broadcasts. But the guy who was doing the play-by-play was the legendary Ned Martin, who has a booth named after him at Fenway Park. And so I just I must have had five different jobs. I was a bartender, I was a substitute teacher, I was a basketball referee, I was a baseball umpire, and I just knew this is what I wanted to do. And eventually, I hung around long enough, so they finally said, "Who is this guy right here? Let's throw him in on Sunday afternoon. We'll get nobody else we can put in there." And I worked at the radio station. Same thing happened at Channel 5. I'd never set foot in a TV station in my life. I came in on a Friday night and watched the 6 o'clock news. And after the 6 o'clock news was over, they gave me the script. And they said, "All right, why don't you read the script? We'll roll the tapes in the same way." And I was like, "The Red Sox beat the Detroit Tigers in spring training today. Let's look at the highlights now." On the first inning, and I was so bad. So I went upstairs to Jim Thistle, was the general news director. And I went up to his office, and he said, "What do you think, Mike?" And I said, 6 months, 8 hours a day, maybe I might improve by about this much. He says, "Well, you don't have that long. You're on tomorrow night at 6."
Oh, wow.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. I was the Final Four weekend of 1982, and there I was, and I never left. So I was lucky. They needed somebody to fill in because they had a lot of vacation. A couple senior guys, Don Gillis and Clark Booth, had a lot of vacation time. They needed somebody to fill in, and I was ready, willing, and able 24/7. So from there, I sort of that was in 82 and 83. I became the weekend anchor. 85, I became the Monday to Friday guy, and here I am. Semi-retired, and can't believe it's all gone by so fast.
Yeah, I feel like it's so rewarding when you're doing something you love doing, because a lot of people say, you'll never work a day in your life if
Right.
you really love what you're doing. And I feel like that is so true, because if sports are what you're passionate about and that's what you get to do on a day-to-day basis, there's nothing better than that.
I never felt when I walked out the door and got in the car and I get out of the car in the Channel 5 parking lot, I never felt like I was lugging a ball and chain behind me. I just couldn't wait to get in there. Couldn't wait to say, how can we make our sportscast different from the other stations? How can we be distinctive? Can we do something different? And, how are we going to fit all this news into this short little amount of time that we have? And that was the greatest thing. You're right. If you love what you do and have a passion for it, you'll never feel like you're going to work.
Yeah, that's everybody's goal, I think, is to end
Yeah.
up doing something like that makes them that happy. So it's cool that you've just been there for so long, and it's just been a great experience for you, it seems.
Yeah, it really has. I'm lucky. Channel 5 was when I first went to Channel 5. I'll never forget, and I took this cue and worked my whole thing. The first day I walked in there, I walked in and I look in this room and said, oh my goodness, this is the Mount Rushmore of Boston newscasts. Chet Curtis, Natalie Jacobson, Ron Golovin, Jorge Quiroga, Jack Harvard, look, Susan Warnock, look at Janet Wu, look at all these people. And I was so nervous. And this woman got up. I said, oh my God, Natalie Jacobson's walking over towards me. Oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? She goes, hi, Mike, I'm Natalie Jacobson. Welcome to Channel 5. You're going to be great here. And I said, oh my goodness, the most important person in the building walks over and puts me at ease and makes me feel at ease. I always remember that. So anytime we hired a new person or new interns, I always made sure I went over and introduced myself. They may not even know who I was, but I just wanted to give them the same feeling of relaxation and confidence that Natalie Jacobson gave me when I walked into Channel 5.
Yeah, it definitely can be nerve-wracking when you're there for the first time and you're surrounded by all these people that you've looked up to, that you're like, these people are professionals that really know what they're doing, and then I'm here. So it definitely is probably a nerve-wracking feeling.
Yeah, it was. And I remember Natalie, I would walk by her as she was like, we had typewriters when I first started. And she has like this jacket on over this blouse, and it has a price tag hanging off the back. And so I'm going, does Natalie know she has a price tag on the back? I said, maybe I should rip it off. They said, don't rip it off. She said, LH Rogers in Salem gives her some clothes to wear for a credit on the screen. And she just flips the tag out back. So you know, it won't show on air. And here I am. I almost went over as like, you know, I thought I was being a good guy. I almost ripped the tag off for her. So, yeah, I was pretty young, dumb, and naive, and I had to learn a lot of things, and I had to learn them along the way. Failure is a mandatory stop on the road to success, so don't ever forget that.
That's good. That's a good tip though for people too, because sometimes people don't take failure well, but you're only going to learn more when you fail.
Absolutely, I've learned more lessons from failure than I have from success. And especially in the TV business, don't stay down in the dumps too long, because you got to if you mess up at 6 o'clock, chances are you have a 7 o'clock or 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, and by 11 o'clock you forget whatever happened at 6 o'clock. It's gone. It's downstream. It's gone. It's see you later. So that's another lesson somebody taught me, and it served me very well.
That's a great piece of advice for sure. What would you say is the most challenging part of the job?
The most challenging part of the job at first was when I first started, we had 8 to 9 minutes for sports and the 6 o'clock news, and the news ran from 6 to 7. It was an hour. Now we get 3 minutes or less, and it's hard to sort of you got a size 10 shoe and you're trying to fit it in the size 7 box. It just doesn't happen. So you really have to maximize your time. You have to be very judicious in what you think belongs in the show and what doesn't belong in the show. And that's the hardest part, fit it all in a timely manner. And then, I always had 3 goals, which I heard from the great Jim McKay of ABC Sports. And it was to inform, to entertain, and to occasionally inspire the viewers. And so every night I try to see if I could hit those 3 points. We had a feature called High Five, where we'd feature a high school student athlete of the week. And quite often the student athlete had some challenging physical limitations or obstacles to overcome. And that was the inspirational part. The informational part was easy. And the other part was easy too, but that sometimes we didn't do it 5 nights a week, but we at least once a week had something inspirational.
That's really cool too, to be able to feature kids like that and be able to tell their stories, because I feel like that's another rewarding thing about being in this type of industry, is being able to just tell other people's stories.
Yeah, and that was really a joyous part of my job. Before email came into being, there was mail, and I'd get mail, and I'd get letters like, Sheila from Milford, Mass. is a great student. Last year she tore her ACL. She missed her whole junior year. She's a 3-sport captain coming in, and she comes back, and you tell her story, and it's pretty hard to mess it up. Just put the microphone in front of her, ask her a couple of easy questions, and usually these kids are really good. They sell themselves.
That's great. Yeah, it's great when you have high school age kids like that are able to, be able to tell their story like that, and they're probably super excited to be able to share it with a lot of people too.
Yeah, and they were much better on camera than I was the first time. The first time when I sat down on Channel 5, the Red Sox beat the Detroit Tigers. Let's look at the highlights now. And everyone's so used to being in front of a camera. If they're in front of an iPhone or
Yeah.
they've got so much more experience, and we were like nervous wrecks. But there are a lot more good kids out there than there are bad kids, and unfortunately, on the news, all we hear about is the one or two bad kids that do something new. So we thought at Channel 5, why don't we feature, every Friday, and we eventually changed it to Thursday, a young boy or young girl that's doing great things, and their story should be told.
Yeah, we need that kind of positivity
Yeah,
around, and when people are watching their news channels, it's good to have that kind of positivity and be able to say, "Oh wow, this kid is doing really cool things for his sport or his school and impacting them in a positive way."
yeah, yeah. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's super cool. I feel like I feel like there's so many people out there too who are worthy of having those stories be told too. Is that something that how do you find them usually? Is that something that, you have people reach out to you to maybe nominate people for this, or is it something where
Yeah.
you kind of go out into the community and kind of just basically figure out what's going on and see who might be
You
worthy of
know,
it?
a lot of times their coach will inform me. I had a girl named Lisa Wiswall, and she was at Somerville High School in 1987. And her coach wrote me a letter. His coach's name was Charlie O'Rourke. He said, we had this girl. She's an unbelievable distance runner. She runs a 2 mile, and she's had 6 cancer operations.
Oh
And you
wow.
you got you got to meet this girl. It's like nothing ever happened to her. She's at practice every single day. So I went to Somerville High School and I met Lisa, and we sat down. She was wearing a wig. She had lost all her hair through her chemo, and they were taking the bone they were taking from her right behind her bicep, and they were putting it in her leg. And she told me, she said, nothing's going to stop me. I'm going to keep running and I'm going to beat this thing. Well, fast forward, she gets the Tufts coach saw the piece, and that's not why I do it, but they gave her a scholarship and admitted her to Tufts. I now see her. She sends me a Christmas card every year. She's in her late 40s. She's got a daughter that graduated from UNH. She's run 17 Boston marathons. Um,
Wow. Good
and
for
and
her.
but her bicep is so skinny. It's like from her elbow to her shoulder, because they've taken 17 bone operations for 17 marathons. And she's one of her name is Lisa Maciel now, and she's married to a great guy named Rob, and their daughter it's got a full-time job. They got a dog, and she said, if you didn't come over that day and talk to me, I don't know where my life would be right now. I love running. I love. I'm a member of 3 or 4 different track clubs. In fact, one day I went golfing up in Andover, and I was golfing at 8 in the morning, and I was coming off. I was like 1 minute of 8, and I'm coming off the ramp like on 2 wheels, and I'm looking the other way, and I almost hit this person that was jogging. It was her. It was Lisa.
That's so funny.
I said to her, I said, Lisa, I said, it's me, Mike. Sorry, I'm late for golf. She goes, you almost killed me. I said, no, I'll see you in a little bit. So I saw her about 5 months later at a road race, and we had a good laugh about it. But we've been friends for 40 something years, and as long as it's when I first met her.
That's so cool and so inspirational too, because I feel like so many people will hear her story
Yeah.
and it'll inspire them to want to do something like that too, just to show, the way that she never gave up and she just continued to do what she loves to do and persevere through something that was obviously really, really difficult is just super cool to hear for other people.
Yeah, she's gotten all kinds of letters, and then eventually emails from other people that didn't think that they had the strength or the endurance. They just were going to down themselves, and they saw her story, and it inspired them, and that's what Lisa has done. She's just spectacular. She lives in Tewksbury now, and and I see her about once a year. I see her at road race, and I might be the starter or the MC, and I get a tap in the back of my shoulder. We'll turn around, and I said, "Lisa, what did you say? Oh, you look so great. Look at you, blah 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 blah." And I'm so proud of her. I'm not proud of all these kids. I don't know how many high fives I've done, maybe 1,000 of them, and I'm proud of every single one of them.
Yeah, that must just be so cool and so rewarding to be able to
Yeah,
do that because and for the kids, it probably means so much to them too that you're able to, share their stories with everybody and form that bond with them too.
yeah. It's really a wonderful, satisfying thing for me. It's nice when we go to the school. I have two rules when we get there. I may interview like Gabby, is a great basketball player, and I'm talking to her. But at the end, we put everybody in the team around Gabby, and they all yell "High five!" and they take the last two words out of my mouth. I say, "And we salute Gabby Hurlbut as this week's." And then my voice stops, and then we cut to the video of them all right there going "High five!" And I always interview the coach because my dad was a teacher and a coach, and I know that they're the hardest working people in many communities. And I want to make sure that the coach gets the recognition that he or she deserves as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Especially, when they're at the high school level too. I feel like the coaches really form a connection with the kids and they know the kids well too. So they can speak a lot on, the team, how the team's doing, and just individually the kids and what they contribute to the team too. So it's always cool to talk to coaches when they coach at that level because it seems like they really take the time to form those relationships with the athletes.
Yep, you talk to most people that played sports in high school, and you ask them some of their most unforgettable characters they ever met in their life, and they may say, my English teacher slash cross country coach really influenced my life. I was I was at a crossroads. I could have gone down the wrong road, but Mrs. Kavanaugh helped me get down the right road.
Yeah, everybody looking back, I feel like has, certain people that really made an impact on them in their life to really get them to where they are now and just especially as an adult looking back on kind of my, just high school, college and even a little bit post college looking at people who have really made a difference in me and where I'm at now. And I feel like it's important to be able to recognize those people and that really helped you along the way.
Yeah, they're I'm still good friends with many of the people that coach me, and I joke with some of them. I said, "You were a big influence in my life." They said, "Oh, all I did was just coach you." I said, "No, you did more than that. You were a mentor to me. You showed me how to deal with success and how to deal with adversity, how to be to the underclassmen on the team, and how to be a leader. And a leader isn't usually one that screams and yells and makes the most noise. The leader is the one who's the first one on the field or the court, the last one off the field or the court or the pool. And those are the things. And you do it by observing, people ahead of you that you admire. But the one constant through it all is your coach.
Absolutely. Yeah, they go through the ups and downs with you,
Yeah.
when you're playing for them too. So it's they're able to kind of help you get through some of the challenging times and also the good times when you're really succeeding. So you lean on your coach for a lot and I feel like it's really really hard for people sometimes to realize how much a coach really can make a difference.
Yep. And there are thousands of examples. I defy you to find anyone who had a successful. Not it doesn't even have. You could be the 15th man on the team, and on the basketball team or the girl, and the coach could have just the same impact on you. I tell you a funny story. My dad was a teacher and a coach at Swampscott High School. He was my coach in football and in basketball. I didn't have him in baseball. He died about 4 years ago, and it was so big they had his wake in the church at St. John's
Oh,
Church
wow.
in Swampscott. And one of the guys that played for him was Franny Sheehan, who was the bass player for the rock band Boston. More than a feeling,
Oh,
more than
that's awesome.
a
Yeah.
feeling. Da, da, da. So
I've heard that song.
so he was at the wake, and he kept walking up. People were in line. It was like Disney World. There was a winding line, but Franny kept walking up to my dad, kneeling down, talking to him, getting up and walking away, getting up, down, walking away. I said, Franny, are you okay? He said, yeah. He said, I had to tell you, your dad. I mean, he was right. He was right. We'd be playing these concerts in London and Paris and Liverpool, and we got like a half hour to go. It's a two-hour concert. And if your dad would always say, fourth quarter, Franny. That's where the games are won and lost. He goes, and that gave me the endurance to keep going as strong as I could. And I just want to thank him. I said, he knows that you thank him. And he was funny. When the season ended, Franny grew his hair very long. It was as long as yours. And my father would say to him, Franny, you're never going to get a job interview. You're never going to be a success in this life unless you cut your hair. And of course, he goes to the rock band Boston. He pulls up like 4 years later in front of our house, and he has one of those cars, a Lamborghini or Maserati, but the door opens sideways over the top. And my father's like, mowing his lawn with his push mower, and he says, Coach, how are you? And he goes, I told you, Franny, get your hair cut. You'll never be a success. And they had a great laugh over it. They became best friends. Franny would come down, sit on the porch, and just thank my dad for the lessons he taught him and for keeping him on the team. And it was he would always. My dad just drank beer. He drank either Bud Light or something like that. And Franny Sheen, he says, "Oh, I got this great sherry from Amsterdam, Coach. You're really gonna like it." He goes, "Franny, I hate that stuff." He goes, "You sip it. I'll have the Bud Light." But yeah, they were. But that was a funny story.
That is really funny. Yeah, just when you see just how much of an influence and an impact someone had on others, that's a definitely, especially if it's somebody close to you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. It seems like he was a great guy.
He was a great guy. He had a lot of friends. He coached, an NFL coach, 2 NFL players, a Major League Baseball player, but he also coached guys like Franny Sheehan who really get off the bench unless we were up by 20 points with a minute to play. And those people were as important to him as the stars of the team.
That's so good. That's admirable too, for sure. Because on a team, everybody's important.
Yeah.
That's why it's a team.
Absolutely.
What would you say is your favorite sport?
But when I was a kid, my answer hasn't changed since I was probably 12 years old. You asked me right now, I'd say basketball. But even though my father was a high school basketball coach, on Saturday and Sunday, I go play ice hockey down the pond or the playground. With the public works used to flood, but they take a fire hose and they flood the playground. It was great. If you asked me in the summer, I'd say baseball. You asked me in the fall, I'd say football. I loved all three. When the seasons changed, like Thanksgiving came, boom, I just switched my mentality to basketball. And then when March 15th came, boom, I would switch right to baseball. And that's the way I've always been.
Yeah, it's really, if you like all those sports, it really is what season is it? Because what does it feel like? Because in the summer, it's just everybody's in baseball mode, and being able to go outside and watch a baseball game in the summer is just everybody's, energy is focused on that. Whereas right now, this time of year, it's, for Boston sports fans, everybody's really, really focused on the Celtics and Bruins right now because both are really good. And so it's just that time of the year. But in the fall, as soon as football season starts, everybody's in full football mode. And that's, I think, the cool thing about especially being a Boston sports fan and being part of that community too, because everybody gets so invested in all of the teams.
Yeah, they do. And, it used to be when Tom Brady was on the team that you couldn't make any plans until the first Sunday in February. That's when the Super Bowl was. And then the following Tuesday or Wednesday, because that's when the parade was.
Yeah.
And, to think of all the Super Bowls that he's been to, all the conference championships. So that people would ask me, to speaking engagements. Oh, can you come out January 18th? And I said, I can't. They go, what do you mean you can't? It's October. Well, you're going to be doing then? I said, yeah, I'm going to probably be covering practice from the Patriots, getting ready for the, who knows who they're going to play in the first or second round of the playoffs. And that was pretty much true. And that was a great part. I was a lucky guy to be able to do it in the town where I grew up in.
Yeah, I was going to say, we got so spoiled with the Tom Brady era and all those championships, because now with where just the Patriots are at right now, but also just in general, Boston fans are like dying for another championship, but it really hasn't been that long since the last Boston championship. People just got so used to there being one, pretty regularly and frequently.
Yeah, it's been 4 years, and that seems like an eternity. I mean,
Yeah.
but the people in Cleveland would love to be claimed like that. People in Minneapolis would love to have just 4 years between championships. I mean, we have one every year, or it seemed if we didn't have one, we went to the NBA Finals, Stanley Cup Finals, World Series. World Series we always won in this century, and then of course the Patriots. I mean, they'd win the Super Bowl, but they went to 3 Super Bowls where they actually lost.
Yeah.
Tom Brady went to 9 of them with the Patriots. They won 6.
Which is crazy to think about too, that it almost became just we expected the Patriots to be in the Super Bowl every year.
Yeah, they did. Hence my vacation, and hence my speaking engagements. I can't do anything until the Tuesday after the first Sunday in February, because that's when the parade is. But then 2 days later, I'm leaving for spring training. So we're off and running with the Red Sox. We just changed, boom, right away.
Yes, that's talk about a change of pace too, between switching from football to baseball right away too.
Yeah, we get down and we just come off like this incredible high, and with like the whole world watching to spring training, where let's get on the field at 9:30. Yeah, 11 o'clock. I think we're done. Let's go play golf, and but that was pretty much it down to spring training.
That's funny. Yeah, no, I love baseball. That's my favorite sport. I'm a big Boston everything fan, obviously, but baseball's kind of, since I was little, been the number one for me. So I'm so happy to have spring training games back now and be able to watch some of those games, because it feels like it's been longer than it has since I've been able to watch a baseball game.
Yeah, I know it. It's they're playing now. They get all kinds of new rules, which we've all seen. The pitch clock, the big bases now, the 3 inches bigger than the other bases, and the pitch clock's going to be interesting. It's working, and it's shortening the games. But we had controversy in the very first game with the Atlanta Braves. I mean, the guy wasn't in the box, and they called him out, on a pitch, and we ended up in a 6-6 tie. But I think it's a good thing for baseball. There's there's a convention at the mound. Every time the catcher comes out to talk to the pitcher, everybody's going to come in. They put their hands over their gloves so they can't read their lips, and then the pitching coach may come out, and like that's the only sport like Bill Belichick. If Tom Brady throws 2 incomplete passes, Bill Belichick doesn't call timeout and come into the huddle and talk to him for 45 seconds or a minute. It's like give him a hand signal or something like that. Give him some type of signal from the sideline. Okay, you got to drop your shoulder more. You got to lengthen your stride. You got to raise that ball over the back behind your ear. And baseball needed this. It did, because it's. I'm glad you said you love baseball, because I do too. And Dan Shaughnessy, Bob Lobel, and I had a nice talk about this today on our podcast. But a lot of young people are not in love with baseball, and I think a lot of it is it's just they're impatient. And that a hockey game is over in 2.5 hours. A Celtics game is over in 2.5 hours. The Patriots game is going to last 3 hours. Well, a baseball game could last 3 hours, or it could last 5.5 hours, and you have no idea which one you're going to get. And so this is really going to help baseball. There's going to be some arguments and some unhappy people, but I think for the most part it's pretty good.
Yeah, I've definitely seen mixed thoughts on it on Twitter as people are starting to watch spring training games. And some people are like, I don't like this at all. It's going to ruin baseball. And other people are saying, I like it. I think it's a good thing. But I actually agree with you. I first of all think it's going to start to grow on people the more that they see it and they just get used to it being there. So I don't think it's going to be as bothersome from people with the pitch clock as the players get used to it and fans get used to it watching it. And I also think, like you said, it's going to get more kind of casual fans or people who aren't as into baseball to be more likely to start watching games. Because I have a lot of friends who just say, I cannot sit and watch a baseball game for that long. It's just too slow. And there's just not enough going on for me that I can't sit and watch a game. And I think you're right. It is the younger generation too, that they just won't choose to sit and watch a baseball game. So this seems to be MLB's attempt to get more of the younger generation to be interested in the games.
Yeah, and they're doing it. They're doing it the right way. They're doing it in spring training, where they've got 30 games per team roughly, and it's a great time for the umpires and the players to learn, make mistakes, make adjustments, and by the time the season starts I think we're March 30th or 31st this year, they're ready to go. So we got about a month to go before we're ready. But I think Major League Baseball has made the right call. The one thing I don't like, though, is they banned the shift. You have to have a shortstop or two people on the side of second base and the other side. I don't like that at all. It's like telling Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs they can't do that little thing where they all ring around the rosy in a circle there and broke the huddle and then ran the play. Or you may have four wideouts on one side and all these different. I deal with it. Like if they get 7 outfielders out there, hit them with a guy named Willie Keeler was a great hitter about 100 years ago, and his motto was "Hit them where they ain't," and just hit the ball with the defenders are not. And I think it's a strategy that I'd love that Joe Madden used it a lot when he was managing Tampa Bay, and that's the only thing on the new rules that I'm not crazy about. I'd like the shift.
Yeah, the shift I've definitely seen get a lot of mixed feelings on. I've actually seen more people who are happy that they banned the shift because they just didn't like it. But it really was dependent on who the hitter was too. So I feel like it kind of takes away from that seeing the infield adjust based on who the hitter is. So it's going to be really interesting to kind of see how that goes when it comes to a hitter that you normally would have the shift on for.
Yeah, if the outfielders can go wherever they want. You want to put 3 people in right field, you can do that. You want to put a short fielder like softball and have just a center fielder, a right fielder, and a short fielder, you can do that as well. Wherever place you're vacating, like left field, you could be vulnerable there. But even when they put the shift on, nobody seemed to hit the ball to the opposite field or to drop a bunt down on third base when there's no third baseman there because he's over on the right side of the infield. I think the shift, they should have left the shift in, kept the pitch, then add the pitch clock and the size of the bases. I think you'd have a pretty good formula for baseball.
What do you think of the ghost runner rule?
Hate it.
Yeah, it's weird.
You're rewarding a team. Let's say you got a pitching staff that's thrown 9 innings and they haven't allowed a runner to second base. Their starting pitcher in their bullpen has been so good. Now all of a sudden he come in the top of the 10th inning. Well, let's put a runner at second base. Whoa, wait a minute. How do you get him there? Bunt him over to third base. Now he's standing on third with 1 out. Sacrifice fly. He's home. So you give it up no hits. You place the guy at second base. He advances to third on the walk. He comes home on the sacrifice fly, and you could possibly lose the baseball game.
Yeah, I don't want to say it's necessarily a freebie, but it almost is because it's scoring from second base. Just the chances of that happening, I feel like, are relatively high. Because like you said, even if you give up a single, they could score on that.
Sure.
So that's also another factor too. I feel like I know that's another attempt for them to try to just speed up the game, but I feel like they should let a few extra innings happen before that happens. And maybe if you reach a certain point in the game where you get to a certain inning, if you're going into the 13th inning or just something like that, then maybe you think about implementing it then. But I do feel like you should kind of let the game live when you first go into extras before you implement that ghost runner if you are going to do that.
It's kind of like hockey. They play a 5-minute overtime and then they go to the shootout after that. So,
I don't like the shootout.
So let's play 2 innings. Let's play the 10th and 11th inning, and then we start the ghost run in the 12th inning if we don't have a winner by then. Yeah,
the shootout is always fun in hockey, but it is kind of a weird way to settle the games.
It is. But you could be there all night. I remember in the 1988 or 1990 Stanley Cup Finals, the Bruins played the Edmonton Oilers at the Boston Garden, old Boston Garden. And the game went 3 overtimes. And so Edmonton won the game. And the game got over about 1:30 in the morning. And then we had to go in the locker room and do all the interviews and this and that. And I get home about, 3:30 or whatever. My wife says, "Where the heck have you been?" I said, the game went triple overtime. She goes, don't give me that crap. I said, I'm telling you, it went triple overtime. And I don't even know if we had cell phones then. And nobody could get near a payphone because every guy in the place is just calling up their wife or their girlfriend or their mother and saying, look, I'm just like, we're in overtime. We're in double overtime. We're in triple overtime right now. And those are 20-minute periods, so it's like playing 2 games instead of 1 at the Garden that night. So yeah, you don't want a situation where you're sitting until 3:00 in the morning. So I think you and I come up with a great solution right here. Let's play 10th and 11th inning at regular baseball, and the ghost runner comes in the 12th.
Yeah, I remember I went to a 16-inning Red Sox-Yankees game one time at Fenway, and I loved it just because I love baseball. But I was with my parents and my cousin, and the game started. It was a 4 p.m. game on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So theoretically, it would have ended, around 7 or so. But the game ended up ending at the time that a 7 o'clock game would end. It ended around 10-ish because we felt like we almost watched 2 full games of baseball.
Yeah.
And my mom by the end was like, I am so ready to just leave, but I wanted to see how the game ended because it was the Red Sox were winning 1-0 until the 9th inning, and then the Yankees tied it in the 9th inning, and then the game went 16 innings. So it wasn't even like it was a really action-packed game either. And then it went 16 innings, and I was fine with it because I was like, hey, I'll take the free baseball and be able to watch more of this. But I could tell there were people that were just so over it by the time that game ended.
Yeah, they it's hard, and of course it's Red Sox Yankees. I mean, even the 9-inning games last 4.5 hours.
Oh yeah, exactly.
So
And there's
Jerry
already
Brim
an
used to
extra
be out
long.
of his mind. I'd see him at the ballpark, and it'd be the first game of a Yankees Red Sox series. He goes, "Well, what time are you going home tonight, Mike? 11 o'clock news. We'll be about. Well, let's see. When you're on about 11:20, we'll be in the 5th inning."
It's so true. Those games take so much longer than other baseball games, but
Yeah.
it's fun having the rivalry though.
Yeah,
There's not really anything like it.
nothing beats Red Sox Yankees. I'm telling you, it just goes. It goes way, 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 way back, and still, there was a time like in the '70s where it sort of died down a little bit, but then it just came right back up in the late '70s, and it was a great rivalry. Nothing beats it.
It's really the best. Going to those games and just the atmosphere too.
Yeah.
The atmosphere at Fenway in general is just awesome. But
Yeah.
going there for a Red Sox Yankees game is just super cool.
Yeah, you're right. You're just so right on top of people. I mean,
Yeah.
you're sitting down in the box seats, even in the grandstand. I mean, you can actually see the guys what they look like.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I actually played at Fenway when I was in high school in an All-Star game, and I was a pitcher, and we were in the third base dugout, and they told me to go warm up, and I said, out to the bullpen. They go, no, just get down the left field line right here. And I threw the first pitch 12 feet over the catcher's head, and it landed in the box seats. And I almost hit about 7 people. There were probably 100 people at the game, but it seemed like 93 of them were on the third base side that I almost hit. But I realized how close they were to the action, and they could get hurt, and I almost hurt someone.
Wow, that's a crazy story, actually. But it must have been really cool still to play at Fenway.
It was unbelievable. I was 16 years old. And they went around New England. You had to travel to these tryout sites, and I went to Nashua, New Hampshire, Holman Stadium, and I pitched 2 innings, and everybody was trying out, and they picked maybe 6 people from each location. They go Portland, Maine, Portsmouth, New Hampshire, Hartford, Connecticut, Burlington, Vermont. And I remember the guy announced my name, and I said, "Oh my gosh, I can't remember. This is the greatest ever." And Jerry Remy was the same age as me, and we were in the same game together. We used to talk about it all the time. I said, "Well, you made the major leagues. I didn't quite make the major leagues, but I got to announce a lot of your games."
Yeah. He's a Red Sox legend too.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was a great guy. Great guy.
Well, it's going to be an interesting season for the Red Sox. I'm excited for them to start, but obviously the Celtics and Bruins right now are both, playing really well. Do you think that there's a possibility that this is a season where we get both of them winning a championship, because they've never won a championship in the same season before?
No, I don't think any city has had had their winter teams both win hockey and basketball. On paper right now, it looks like they both should be in the finals, Stanley Cup Finals and NBA Finals. The Celtics, I think that Milwaukee's a tough team, and as we saw the other night in that great game with the Sixers, Philly's a great team as well.
Yeah.
I'm just so worried that everything has gone so well from October and November right up to this point. It's always that there's a point where there's a major injury or something happens. And in hockey, Dan Shaughnessy was bringing up this point. He said hockey is unlike any other sport. Once the playoffs start, it's a reset. One place, and how many times was the 8th seed knocked off the number 1 seed in so many playoff matchups and so many series? And that's my biggest fear, that they win the President's Trophy with the best record in the National Hockey League, and they've done that before.
We know that's cursed.
Yeah, it get knocked out. So I said, please don't hang a President's Trophy banner in the balcony of the Garden. Just go and play. But I would be ecstatic if the two of them ever get in there and both won. It would be really that would be something to yell about.
Yeah, and obviously for both teams, it's been a while since their last championship too. So it would be really, really cool for either team. I agree with you. I think on paper and how they're playing right now, they both should be able to go to the finals. But hockey is such a tough sport to predict in the playoffs because it's a completely different game. Like nothing from the regular season matters at all anymore. And
it's all your goaltender. You have a goaltender that gets hot and just stops everything that's coming at him.
Yeah.
It can change everything. I mean, Bobby Orr and the Bruins won it in 1970, won the cup, and this town went crazy. I was a junior in high school, and we said they're going to be champions for the next decade. They're going to win everything. Next year, Montreal comes in first round, and they had Ken Dryden, who was just out of Cornell, and he was their goaltender. They eliminated the Bruins in the first round. The Bruins won the next year. They beat the New York Rangers, and then Bobby Orr got hurt, and they traded him away, and they were in the finals in '74 against Philadelphia. But I'll never forget that because the Bruins with Bobby Orr were going to be the best team in the National Hockey League for 10 years in a row, and they lost in the first round the year after they won it.
That's brutal. That's so brutal. Talk about the excitement and that high of winning to then that just go immediately all the way down once the playoffs hit the next year.
Yeah.
That's so tough. Yeah, I mean, they're both really fun to watch this year, both of those teams. And it's been nice after the frustrating season that the Patriots had to be able to watch these teams do what they're doing. I think with basketball, I genuinely believe that getting out of the Eastern Conference is going to be the toughest thing for the Celtics. I think if they get out of the Eastern Conference, then they win the whole thing.
Do you think what about Golden State if they make it in? You worried about them?
Not as worried as last year. I think the Celtics, now that they have the experience of being in the finals, I think it's going to be huge for them. I actually think Phoenix out of the West right now, now that they have KD, it might be the team to beat in the West. But I think overall the Eastern Conference is a stronger conference right now.
Yeah, I think it is a stronger conference too. And let's hope that the Celtics have a better record than Milwaukee, and they don't have to play Game 7 in Milwaukee if that should ever come to pass. Because
they keep winning games too. The Bucks will not lose right now.
I know. Like I keep thinking back to that birthday party that Jason Tatum went to, and if that one game cost the Celtics
it's so true.
home court advantage and the number 1 seed, I'll be out of my mind.
Yeah, if they don't clinch the number 1 seed, people are going to look back at that.
Yeah.
That game. I know. Nobody wants to. I don't want any part of going to Milwaukee for a Game 7.
None at all. That because the Greek Freak is really something, and he's got a pretty good cast around him too. And they know how to win. They did it a couple of years ago.
Exactly. Yeah, they're tough. They're definitely the team I'm most worried about in the Eastern Conference. But yeah, that game against Philly was really exciting the other night.
How about the shot by Embiid at the end? I mean, unbelievable. It's just a fraction of a second from letting the ball go. And I think what's his name got in his way there. Derek Lewis, right?
Oh, are you talking about Derek White?
No, Derek White. I'm thinking of Derek White. He came racing across and just got in Embiid's way a fraction of a second, just caused him to hesitate before he let it go. And I think that might have been the difference we might still be playing right now. We'd be probably quadruple overtime.
Yeah, I have a friend who's a big Philly sports everything
Yeah.
fan, and he was texting me after the game, and he was saying, "I can't believe that didn't count. I can't believe that it was, after the buzzer." But I mean, I did have to watch the replay to make sure that it went off after the buzzer because it was really close.
Yeah, there was a good replay from the rear angle. You could see when he's just about to let it go, and then the red light goes around the backboard, and then he lets it go.
Yep.
But that would have been, that would have been one. That would have been on every highlight reel for the end of time. If a shot like that actually tied a game and sent it into overtime.
Yeah, I've never seen something like that before. That was crazy. And everybody, all those fans that were there too, all those Philly fans definitely were holding their breath for a second too, because they were like, wait, did that just count? Are we going to overtime? That was exciting. Yeah, but I'm hoping for I don't want to jinx the teams, but I'm hoping for hopefully at least one, potentially two parades for winter sports teams in Boston this year.
Yeah, well, we know how to host parades. We know the drill. Get on the duck boat, line the cities of Boston. Everybody behave themselves, and everybody have a good time. So we haven't had one. Let's see, since the Patriots in 19, right? That's that the last one we had. Yeah. So
that was it.
Celtics won in 2010. No, 2008. They lost in 2010, and the Bruins won in 2011. They lost in 13 and they lost in 19.
Yeah.
So
2019 was rough because 2019 I thought was the Bruins' year.
Ooh, I know it. I was back and forth to St. Louis, and I thought we were all set, and we were getting ready for a parade, and then I'll never forget that. I remember where I was standing too. I was standing down in the handicap section, and just behind the load seats, and I went, oh, when that thing went in, and then when they scored at the end of the end of the second period or first period, and they scored very late. And
second,
yeah. That
was just tough. That series was tough.
Yeah, that was.
But the Red Sox in 2018 were fun too.
They were great. I was out in Dodger Stadium for that one too. We were standing on the field until 1:30 in the morning, and I went right to the airport and took the red eye home.
Oh wow!
It was good. Yeah, I just wanted to get back here and because I knew the parade was going to be the next day or so, and I wanted to make sure that I got home, got a good night's sleep, because I know the parade day would be a long day.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, that's fun though, being able to be there when they won. I kind of wish they had won at home, but I was like, I'll take the win. It's a World Series win regardless of where it happens.
Yeah, well, only one of the 4 World Series wins was at home. They won in 04. They won in St. Louis. I remember that one. I was in Denver in 07, and 13 they won it at Fenway, and I was there for that one. And then they won the 18 one out in Los Angeles. But it was, when I grew up, the Red Sox would find a way to lose all the time. And this club, this franchise, since the turn of the century, always found a way to win. So it was so much different when I was a kid. You watch the Patriots game, you'd look like this on the TV. You'd lie, the punt return for a touchdown. Oh, there's a flag. You get a whip flag. Where's the flag? Oh, there's the flag. Where's the flag? And the same thing with the if something could go wrong, it would go wrong, especially with the Red Sox. A Bucky Dent home run. Who knows? After Fisk hit his home run in Game 6, they lose Game 7. And the '86 World Series, I was there. The ball went through Bill Buckner's leg, and
it's like any possible thing that could happen to go wrong just went wrong.
I thought I had seen everything, and I never saw the ball go through Buckner's leg because they went up 5-3 in the top of the 10th inning, and so the game was on NBC. We're ABC. We have Ted Koppel and Nightline, and we decided we're going to break into Nightline if the Red Sox won. So I had to get downstairs by the Red Sox dugout where their clubhouse is. Now they had the third base dugout, and our press box is on the right field side. So it took almost a whole inning to walk down. I get down there, and it's taken a long time and a long time and a long time. There are no TV monitors. You can't see the field. And I'm standing over my microphone, plugged in, listening to Ted Koppel. All of a sudden, the Red Sox clubhouse door opens, and Mrs. Yockey, who owned the team, gets ushered out down the hall. Then the door opens. Bob Costas goes scooting down the hallway. Then the door opens again, and they're wheeling out carts of champagne, and they're moving down the hallway. And I said, well, maybe they're going to a bigger room. This is really a big event. It hasn't happened in 68 years.
Yeah.
And then they open the door, and the World Series trophy gets wheeled down the hallway. And I'm going, what the heck is going on here?
Oh my
And then I hear the cleats on the ground coming, and I hear some profanity, and I see gloves being thrown against the wall, and the Red Sox are going in, and they're all muttering curse words. And I'm saying something, what happened? And a New York cop at a transistor radio goes, you didn't know what happened? The ball went through Buckner's legs. The ball went through Buckner's legs. Are you kidding me? So I never saw it. Bob Lobel was with me. He never saw it. We didn't see it until by the time we got back to the hotel, Sports Center was off the air. This is 1986, remember? And I had to wait till the midday news on the New York TV station to show us how the Red Sox lost the game. That's how I found out about it.
Really? That's crazy.
Yeah, I thought I would be there for the most celebrated moment in Red Sox history, and I was there, but never saw the most disappointing moment in Red Sox history.
Wow, what a moment. That's crazy.
Yeah. I should write a book.
How quickly the mood changes, though.
Yeah, oh boy, oh my goodness. And then, like I say, what do we do now? Well, we never broke into Ted Koppel on Nightline. And then they got, I think they got rained out the next night in Game 7. So Game 7 was 2 nights later, and they pitched Bruce Hurst. Oil Can Boyd was ready to go, but the team's trainer told the manager, John McNamara, that Oil Can wasn't ready to pitch. And Oil Can Boyd, to this day, is angry as hell about that. Bruce Hurst started that game, and they lost Game 7 to the Mets.
Yeah, that's wow. It's definitely, I feel like just being a Boston sports fan back then compared to now is so much different.
Yeah, if something could go wrong, it would go wrong. You know, the ball going through Buckner's leg. You never figured that would be it. Okay, he might fumble the ball, but he keeps the guy at first, and the runner doesn't score all the way from second base. You know, and now we go to the 11th inning. And, but I had no way to watch it. I was the concrete hallways, you know, and I'm saying, boy, I'm looking at my watch saying, this thing is taking about a half hour. Like, why is it taking so long? Yeah. And none of us had any reason knew why, because we had no TVs, no transistor radios, nothing.
Wow. That's a crazy story.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely glad I was not around for that. I probably would. I don't think my TV would have made it through that.
A lot of TVs didn't. A lot of TVs got kicked, thrown at. A lot of people walked out of their houses, and then when you go to 2004, I mean, you remember all the stories of how many people went to cemeteries to talk to their dads or their moms or their grandparents, you know, and say, hey, they finally won it. Sorry, you didn't see it in '86, but you know, it finally happened. And you know, you look every cemetery in Eastern Massachusetts had Red Sox hat or baseball or something or a pennant, you know, draped over it. Like, here it is, Grandma. Here it is, Grandpa. You know, they finally won it. After 86 years, they finally won.
Yeah, which is just a cool, you know, just a cool thing to think about too.
Yeah, well, think of, you know, we're complaining that we haven't had a championship in 4 years. I'd just like to not have one for 86 years. You know.
Yeah, no. Some people had to go their whole lifetime without seeing a championship. So the people, even people younger than me now are like, they don't know really what losing really is even like.
Yeah. I know it all too well. I remember I was at the '67 World Series. I was at the '75 World Series. I was at the '86 World Series. And I'm saying, when is it going to happen? And then we had a long drought, no World Series appearances until 2004, and then we got spoiled.
Yeah.
All you youngins got spoiled.
I mean, I like to be part of, you know, taking credit for that. Maybe my generation kind of brought the good luck for these teams.
Maybe you did. Maybe you guys were doing something, you know, superstitious, better than we were doing, because what we were doing did not work at all.
Well, I'm glad we were able to take on that role then of doing that.
Yes, thank you for doing it.
Well, this has been a lot of fun. I really, really appreciate you hopping on here and being on the show with me. I really enjoyed this.
Well, it was fun, Gabby. Anytime, give me a call. I'm happy to jump in and tell you some stories and talk about the current state of affairs. And it was a real pleasure. Keep up the great work. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate everyone for tuning in to the show as always and the support that the show's gotten. Definitely really appreciate that as well. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your week, and I will catch you all on the show next time. Take care, everybody.